Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today on this October 9th, 2014. Only 2 more days until we are done with this week, and we have moved on, and we are done. Out. Got a bunch of new things happening, building, and we will have them completed by, I would say, by Saturday. So I'm not going to say what they are. You'll just be surprised Monday morning, and it will be very cool. It's going to be very exciting, and looking forward to this process. So, how are you today? Anything new? Anything interesting? Anything exciting? That is the question. That is the question right now. As far as the Ebola, right now there's no new updates. The only update that is currently out there now from the Rob Black Show, I guess you'll if you didn't catch the show yesterday, you missed the update. But eventually you'll hear that update and see that update. But Duncan is dead. There you go. The Duncan is dead. He has exited the building. Yes, he has. Well, I don't even know if he's really exited the building yet. They got to put his body in a plastic bag, I guess, and they got to, dispose of it somehow. It's not something that you could just go and bring to a funeral home and prepare it for any type of viewing. You can't drain that blood. That blood is infectious. Everything on that body is infectious. It's just a giant infectious GI corpse. It's bad. It's bad news. It is what it is. So they haven't even, I don't think, gotten it out of the hospital. They haven't really said what they've done. All the questions that I've been asking for the last 2 days is what they've been asking and talking about on different talk shows. If you watch the CNNs, if you watch the Foxes, if you watch the CNBCs, if you watch any of those programs, you will hear things that come from this show. Now, I'm not saying that they listen to the show. I'm not saying that they read any of the articles from the show. I'm just saying that maybe great talk show minds think alike. But I've been seeing people equate this Ebola disease to HIV/AIDS. I've seen a couple health officials today say that they haven't seen a disease like this since HIV/AIDS started back in the 80s, which is something we've been saying here on this show for a couple weeks now. I've seen people questioning having these airport checkpoints and not preventing air travel in and out of the hotspot areas. I've seen people say, listen, close down these borders, close them right down. And when somebody says, yes, but if you put travel restrictions on, you won't have the doctors or healthcare workers. And I watched somebody yesterday say that's BS, because you can have a travel ban put into place but still let workers that are essential to fighting a disease and or problems still go. The travel bans are just for Mr. Joe Blow in Africa, in Sierra Leone, who wants to get on an airplane and fly over and visit the Statue of Liberty. So a lot of these things that we've been covering on this show for weeks and weeks and weeks are starting to pop up in the political talk show circles. And the comparison to HIV/AIDS was something that was talked about on CNN this morning. And when I seen it flash by, and it went to the interview with the health director, I looked at Katie Summers and I said, that's what I've been saying for weeks. Katie's like, I know. I go, well, what's up with that? How the hell does that happen? Well, what's going on here? So, again, are these people watching or listening to the show or reading the articles? Nah. Who listens and reads anything we do? We're just a bunch of jack-offs sitting here in a disgusting office, gasping for air. That's us. We don't have anything important to say or have any entertainment value whatsoever. Just saying that it awfully seems coincidental that some of these things are starting to get out there on a regular basis. So the big update is no real update. And I guess in the world of Ebola, if there's no new news, that's good news. The woman in Spain is practically dead. She's still hanging on. But in Spain, they haven't figured out how to properly treat people with Ebola. There's a report saying that some of the workers that are handling Ebola virus contaminated clothing or cleaning or things of that nature are using suits that are too short, that are not covering all their skin. So they haven't figured out how to properly protect themselves. The Spanish healthcare worker, she's talking about she thinks she could have gotten it by touching her face, or the person touching her face. A lot of touching going on over there. A lot of touching. And why they don't know that touching is how you basically spread the disease. If you have Ebola on your fingers, or Ebola on your lips, or Ebola on your face, and you're exchanging fluids or sweat, and wherever the hell it is. They haven't figured that out. Well, the woman over there is on death's door, and they haven't officially confirmed. And now I think that's how they're going with things, where they're not officially confirming. They're just saying suspected. But there's a case in Australia that they are dealing with now. Somebody's in a hospital, and of course they were from Liberia or Sierra Leone I mean, guys, not productive, but all of these suspected cases or cases that have come up are all from people involved with somebody in West Africa. So this isn't coincidental. This isn't coinky dinks. Again, these diseases or this disease and these people that have contracted the disease are all coming out of West Africa. They're coming out of Sierra Leone. They're coming out of Liberia. These are the areas that this is happening. So Australia says they are treating somebody that they think might have Ebola. I mean, that's where we are. They're treating someone that they think might have Ebola. They don't have an official confirmation yet. But you're talking about somebody that came from West Africa, healthcare worker, showing all the symptoms. They just haven't officially gotten the Ebola check mark on their paperwork. So you got the Australian patient that could be infected with Ebola. You had a Texas a sheriff that went to the hospital yesterday. It was late in the afternoon because he felt he could have Ebola because he was in the apartment of Duncan. And he went because he was experiencing symptoms. Now, when you listen to the article or the newscaster talk about this, they say the only problem with it is the symptoms that he should be showing if he was infected are that not happening. So I'm like all hooked into the story, and they're like, he's having symptoms. And I'm like, well, like what? What's going on? And they're like, but he's a little achy, and his hands hurt, but he doesn't have a fever, and he doesn't, he's not vomiting, or he's not having diarrhea. And I'm like, so what the fuck's wrong with him? He just woke up, and he's like, oh, God, oh, I got a cough. It must be Ebola. I mean, Jesus Christ. Now, I'm with you as far as precautions, but come on now. And they asked the guy, well, what did you touch? And he goes, well, I was in the apartment, and I was just standing in there. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah. But, hey, who knows? He's at the hospital. Who knows if he's got the Ebola? And something that happened in Los Angeles that people aren't talking about because, once again, they're not confirmed. They are just suspected. Somebody from West Africa landed in the greater LAX airport a day or two ago, and this person was from West Africa, and they immediately took this person straight to the hospital. So they didn't even wait to see if this guy had symptoms. Somehow, somebody put the word out that there was an West African on this flight, and when it landed at LAX, CDC officials and California officials were there and scooped him up and took him over to a hospital. That's LA for you, man. LA ain't taking no chances, Come on now. We ain't taking no chances. So soon as all of this Ebola outbreak and things of that nature, the California health officials are like, hey, start checking the manifests on airplanes coming in. And they went, hey, we have somebody coming from West Africa, and they get them, get to the air, get them. Yeah, but we don't know if I don't care, get them, put them, get them. and they brought them to the hospital. So we don't know about that. The only thing we do know is the dunkster has died, and he got no treatment whatsoever. He got no blood infusions. He got no ZMAP. He got nothing. And we talked about this in our monologue the other day, and once again used the catchphrase, why do white people hate black people? And we talked about how Michael, I keep wanting to call him Michael Duncan, why Eric Duncan did not get all of the same treatments that the other Ebola patients did, which were white and American. And you have people now asking the same question. Once again, is it a coincidence? I don't know. But we were asking this a day or two ago. And lo and behold, the big news stories that are coming out is Eric Duncan did not receive any of the treatments that the first few Ebola patients, the healthcare workers got, who are American, who came here in isolation, chambered airplanes, and the whole thing. And they, remember this, ladies and gentlemen, when people talk about Eric Duncan being further along in his symptoms, let's not forget the two American doctors and the one American doctor and one healthcare provider. They were in West Africa. They were over there in tents being treated on death's door there. Remember the reports that talked about how the guy and the girl were on the verge of dying there? You've heard their interviews where they said they thought they were going to be dead. So they weren't exactly in the best of shape there, but yet they were flown here, got into the hospital, got treatment with all sorts of special drugs, and guess what? They're cured. The dunkster, no cure, dead. Dead, D-E-A-D, dead. And people are asking why. Duncan's family's asking why. Other news outlets are asking why. So it's not just silly Rob Black. It is other people wondering what went wrong. What went wrong? So there's your Ebola update. That's it. End of story. Ebola. So I wanted to move on to the midterm elections, and it's a it's a conversation once again that I've been trying to have with my listeners and or readers for probably about a year now, and that's this concept that Democrats are very weak and very gutless when it comes to politics, and how politics and the game of politics is played. And it's not just a character in a movie, which any movie we see that depicts uh, Republicans and Democrats, the Republicans are always the evil ones. The Republicans are always the rough and tumble ones. You know, look at Kevin Spacey at House of Cards. Again, Republicans are the pit bulls. They are the attack dogs, and Democrats are portrayed as these very weak, mamby-pamby political figures. Now, you could say that's just a theater, but when you look to our political world, I'll tell you, art imitates life, life imitates art. And you have an overwhelming majority of Democrats that are weak. They are gutless. They are spineless. And it's embarrassing that they really are Democrats. And people like me who are a little bit tougher when it comes to policies and when it comes to attacking the right. And it does people like me a disservice to be associated with Democrats like your Harry Reids or even your Nancy Pelosi's. And it's a shame, and I've said it before, that the Democrats don't have a Tea Party wing that is a more aggressive, part of their political affiliation that pushes those Democrats and gets them to actually fight back. Now, this concept really is more evident as far as the weakness of the Democrats when you look at the midterm elections coming up. And the concept that you actually have Democrats that are running for either re-election or they're running to take back, the House or the Senate, whatever it is, and they are running away from Obama. They are running away from the president because somehow this narrative has been cast that the country is horrible. Everything that the president has done is horrible. He's the worst president in the history of mankind. And if you vote or are associated with him, you're just a big pile of crap. And it's amazing because none of this is true. And if you ask people why they feel that way, they can't give you an answer. They can't. And instead of the Democrats fighting and putting Republicans and putting people on blast and outlining facts, they just cower because they're scared. They have no spine. They're weak. And it's amazing because facts don't lie. Now, if a Republican had the facts and had the information that I'm going to give you, if Republicans, if George Bush 1 and 2, Ronald Reagan, if these people had this information and they had the facts that backed up what they've accomplished in their presidency, they would be right now on a victory tour to every single state. And every Republican would have the same talking point. And you would hear every Republican news program from Rush Limbaugh to Sean Hannity to the entire programming field at Fox News, hammering the same point, until the American people say, yep, George Bush, the greatest president we've ever had. George Bush, the greatest president we've ever had. Republicans are better at taking information, whether it's good or bad, creating a unified coalition amongst everybody that is under a Republican banner and driving that home. Literally, they can take bad information, horrible information, and somehow turn that into a positive. It's an amazing skill, but it's something that Democrats lack. They've never had it. And yet, the Democrats are the ones that have pockets full of good news, and it's like, well, we can't say that. Well, why? Well, because the American people in this area, they don't feel things are good. Well, it's your job to tell them things are good. Oh, but I'm scared. A Republican goes, I got nothing in my pocket. But you know what? I'm going to go out there and tell everybody I got pocket full of gold. And they go out there and tell everybody that their pockets are filled with gold. And everybody goes, yeah, his pocket's full with gold. And then once they either get elected or reelected, a couple years later, people go, he didn't have no goddamn gold in his pocket. And the Republican goes, yeah, so? It's like Dick Cheney when he was asked, well, you know, the American people felt we shouldn't have gone into Iraq. The American people didn't want this. How do you feel about them saying this is wrong? And he went, so? I don't care. Paul Krugman, he's an economist. He's a Nobel-winning economist. I mean, yeah, he's a legend in the field of economics. He did a article that was published in Rolling Stone. And there's some things that he puts out there that I didn't even know, that I just am taken aback that once again, nobody in the Democratic Party is hammering this. And the article is a list of accomplishments that Obama has done in the past 6 years of his presidency. And about 6 of these things, if the Republicans had, they would be on the victory tour now. But all you hear from Republicans as we sit here, and Democrats trying to defend their territory, and the talking points are ISIS and Russia. ISIS and Russia. Somehow, ISIS and Russia is why the American people are doomed. Seriously. We are where we are because of Russia and ISIS. And the president outsourced our foreign policy. And now we have Russia. I'm not real sure what Russia's doing. Last time I checked, we all weren't speaking Russian. But, okay. And ISIS. And the last time I checked, ISIS is in the Middle East. And they are involved with trying to create a Islamic State, their own kind of world over there, a caliphate. And you have countries like Turkey and Saudi Arabia that really aren't doing anything. Sure, Saudi Arabia is flying a couple planes with us, but Turkey literally is doing nothing. Turkey is doing absolutely nothing. And their stance is, well, if some other people will help us out, then we'll do something. So they must not be that worried about ISIS. Again, if the Middle East is not worried about ISIS, why the hell are we worried about ISIS? And why does that make any difference on what's going on here in the United States? It doesn't. But the Republicans hammer ISIS, hammer ISIS, hammer ISIS, hammer Putin, hammer Putin. So you're sitting there, all is good with your world, but all of a sudden you wake up and the money you have in your pocket, the job you have, your kids going to school, all can be eliminated in the blink of an eye because of ISIS and because of Russia. And that's Obama's fault. So in turn, you go, oh, I got to listen to the Republicans, and I got to vote for, I don't know who, but a Republican. Brr. Once again, this bullshit. So let me break down the 6 years under Obama. And I just touched on a couple issues that really are issues that can appeal to all voters. So if you're poor, if you're rich, if you're a woman, if you're a student, you know, a young person, he has done something for everybody. So if you don't like him on one issue, you got to like him on another issue because one of these issues helped you. But we forget, because Democrats are weak, they don't know how to speak to the voter. They don't know how to organize all of their talking points, and they're scared of big, bad Republicans. And how could somebody be scared of Lindsey Graham and John McCain? I have no idea, but they are. So let's run through some numbers. Because once again, if the Republicans had these numbers, there would be a goddamn party every single day. It would be called the George Bush is the greatest president in the history of mankind every single day. If Ronald Reagan had these numbers, he would have already had his face on Mount Rushmore. They would have took the other faces off Mount Rushmore and just put his face quadruple the size. Just a big giant head of Ronald Reagan. Or they would have had different faces of Ronald Reagan. One when he's the cowboy. One when he's playing with the monkey, Bonzo. One when he's telling Gorbachev to tear down the wall. If Ronald Reagan had these numbers, man, they would be dancing, woo! But Democrats, they run. They run! They can't do anything, and they got pockets full of gold. So, October of 2009, you're looking at basically Obama taking over the White House. Okay, it's his first couple months, and the George Bush recession is in full bloom. Gotta understand something. When George Bush left office, the last year and a half of his presidency, this country lost 4.5 million jobs. He lost 4.5 million jobs. Obama took over and the slide kept continuing. And we lost another 3.5 million jobs. Almost 4. So basically, George Bush cost this country 8 million jobs. That is a fact. That is a fact. I'm not even sugarcoating it. I didn't even sit there and try to do the spin like a Republican would do and say, 8 million jobs. I'm even talking about when Obama took office. Because let's face it, when you're sliding downhill, the shit just keeps rolling. So it wasn't like after inauguration, the skies were blue and life was great. The shit just kept sliding. Bush put us in such a situation that a year and a half towards the end of his presidency, we lost over 4.5 million jobs. And then the first 7 months of Obama's presidency, the jobs kept losing. So in October of 2009, unemployment was at 10%. 10 fucking percent. You want to know what unemployment rate was at when George Bush took the economy over from Bill Clinton? 4%. Yeah, 4%. When Bill Clinton gave George Bush our economy, when he gave old Georgie the keys to the United States of America, okay, that White House, unemployment was 4%. When George Bush left the White House, unemployment was almost at 8%. So he doubled unemployment. And right at October of 2009, unemployment got to 10%. These are facts. You want to know what unemployment is today? 5.9%. Obama basically has almost cut unemployment in half. That is an undisputable fact. Now, you can play the Republican spin game and say, well, there's people not looking for jobs. Okay, fine. Even if you give you a point, if you give you a point for that, if you give you a fucking point, Obama still has killed unemployment by 3.5%. He's basically regressed it. So even if you want to play the game a Republican could try to combat you with, you still can't dispute the numbers. We've had 55 months of consecutive job growth. You can't dispute that number. We have created 10.3 million jobs in the past 6 years under Obama. You can't dispute that number. This is information that if the Republicans had going with them into midterms, party every night. Every night in every town in America. When you hear people go, this midterm election is about jobs and the economy. Not one Democrat goes, what are you talking about? Jobs in the economy. The economy's gone from 10% unemployment to 5.9. What are you talking about, jobs? Almost 11 million jobs have been created. What are you talking about? Let the Republicans get on the defense. Let them try to tell people what they mean about the economy. And when they go, well, my constituents, they're not so your constituents don't have jobs? Where are you from? What's your unemployment rate there? Well, tell me, as I'm running against you, See, Democrats don't do that. They go, you're right, it is about the economy, and I can do a better job. Well, what better job? If you've been in the office, in the House or the Senate for the last couple years, you did your fucking job. This Congress, the Democrat-controlled Congress, the senator, everything that the Democrats have done have created 10.3 million new jobs. The federal deficit in 2009, when Obama took the office, was 9.8% of GDP. Do you understand that? Today, the deficit is 4.1% GDP. The average under Ronald Reagan was 4.2%. So Obama's ratio of deficit to GDP is better than Reagan's. He beat the Republican idol. Again, when people talk about the economy, right there, every one of those indicators go in to people's conversations of the economy. And then to top it all off, and this is always the one that I love, that everybody seems to forget. When Obama took over, the stock market was 7,900. Today, even with a 250-point dip, which is unbelievably amusing to me because you hear people talking like this is the end of the world. Look what's happening to our economy. And they forget that 6 years ago, the stock market was at 7,900. So everybody in the financial fields have been spoiled for the last couple of years. Let me explain to you guys something. When the Dow Jones goes down and a sell-off occurs, you know what that means? People are cashing out. That means people are cashing out and making money because people who had their money in the stock market when it was 12,000, okay, and they were like, oh man, I bought Apple stock when it was $50 a share. I hope it gets to oh my God, my Apple stock's at 100. Holy shit, I doubled my money. Oh my God, Apple stock's at 200. Oh my God, Apple stock. You know where Apple stock is right now? A sell-off, when the stock market goes down, that means people go, hey, you know what? I want to cash out some of my earnings right now. Maybe I want to buy a fucking house. Maybe I want to buy a car. Maybe I want to open up a business. We have had 55 months of consecutive job growth. We have had almost 11 million jobs created. If you're a rich person or an average person and you have money in the stock market and that money has just tripled or quadrupled for you, well, maybe it's time that you're buying something or starting a business. Could be we've been adding new jobs every month. Last month was 250,000 new jobs. A sell-off isn't bad. People are cashing these huge profits that they have made. So if you're somebody who is a stock market investor, how could you be anything but wanting to give Obama a reach around? If you had stocks at 7,900 and today, even at a 250-point dip, the stock market is still at 16,700. Are you insane? At one point 2 weeks ago, the stock market was at 1,700. The stock market is right now at places it has never been. So when you put that next to unemployment 10% to 5.9%, 10.3 million new jobs, 55 months of consecutive job growth, at 4.1% of GDP with our deficit. How the Democrats run from this economy is baffling. If you look at old campaign ads from when Bill Clinton was running in his second term, the job growth and things that he touted in these ads mirrored what Obama in Bill Clinton's second term. He's talking about creating 10 million jobs. Talking about consecutive job growth. So again, how anybody in the Democratic Party can run from this economy is baffling. George Bush destroyed this economy, and he ran on it twice. He inherited an economy from Bill Clinton that was through the roof, and he said, what? I'm going to do a better job than the Democrats. And everybody went, So you mean the Democrats have put us in this position where, God, we have so much money we don't even know what to do with? So you mean, George, you're going to fucking give us even more money? You mean we're going to be eating off gold plates? Okay. And 4 years later, the economy tanked. And he got reelected by putting hopes and dreams in people's pockets that didn't exist. And 4 years after that, you had an economy that literally was handed to Barack Obama that was close to a recession of the Great Depression. That's what he was given. And yet Democrats don't know how to run on this economy. Fucking baffling. It is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. I don't get it. I don't get it. And again, when I hear today these reports, and you have these reporters from the floor of the stock exchange, a big sell-off today. People are nervous. They don't know. Are you people that greedy and that taking things for granted. It's like people are like, whoa, the stock market dropped below 17,000. Huh, that Obama really sucks. It's like, what? 6 years ago, when the stock market was 7,900, you were praying that it got to 10,000. Then it got to 10,000 and you were like, this ain't good enough. This president sucks. Then it got to 12,000. And then you went, this president sucks. Stock market's only 12,000. And you went, yeah, but it was 79. So it's 12. We expect it to be at 12. He's just doing what we expect him to do. Okay, 14,000. Man, we should be at 15. This president sucks. It's like there's a never-ending ceiling that just keeps getting raised. If this is a Republican president and you had Republican senators and congressmen running for re-election, they would be literally screaming at people, yelling at them, saying, what more can this president do? He's already brought the stock market from 7 to 17,000. What's wrong with you people? Shame on you! And you'd have everybody cowering like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I how dare us talk like this? But instead, everybody's like, you suck. My Apple stock went from 50 to 500. It should be 1,000. Fuck you. My Yahoo stock, my Google stock, I had it at 50 and it's at 800. Fuck you. My Netflix stock, all these stocks are through the roof from years and years and years ago. And people are like, fuck you. It's like, are you serious? Are you people serious? Do you have that short of a memory? Really? You have that short of a goddamn memory? All the old people that had these huge retirement funds. And when George Bush left office and you had people's retirement funds, their 401k just destroyed. I mean, you had people going on TV talking about they were going to have to eat cat food now. The elderly, this was, oh my God. Well, ask these same people how the retirement portfolios are today. If they were talking about hanging on to their retirement funds when it was 7,900, ask them how the retirement fund looks now at 16,000. I think it looks pretty good. Think it looks pretty goddamn good. Even Medicare. Even the whole, you know how we always hear about Medicaid. It's going to go broke. We're done. Remember the George Bush, Al Gore, we're going to put the money in a lockbox? In a lockbox. Going to have that in a lockbox. We're not going to touch nothing. Lockbox. Or maybe we'll privatize Social Security. Or maybe all these things. Medicare is going to go broke. Social Security is going to go broke. All these things are going to go broke. Well, Medicare was supposed to go broke in 2017. In 2009, when Obama took office, the prediction was Medicare would be broke by 2017. Today, they project it out past 2030. Again, all of these things are huge, huge things of growth. And if a Republican had these pockets of gold, you would see presidential approval ratings at 65%. You would see congressmen and senators who are running for re-election coasting to wins. But instead, if you listen to Republicans, or you listen to people that get interviewed by different media outlets, they act like the world is falling apart. They act like we are all sitting around the streets with trash cans filled with fire to keep warm because there's no electricity. That's how, if you hear these people, that's how it seems. Why? Because we keep getting hit in the face by Russia and ISIS. Look at ISIS, they're coming to kill us all. They're coming. Yeah, but right now, man, my 401k's doing good. My kids are in college. They got a new loan. Yeah, well, they're all going to be dead. They're not going to be able to enjoy it because ISIS is coming to kill us. And it's the president's fault. Oh, shit. Okay, let me vote you in, Mr. Republican. That's what is being done to the American people. And the Democrats, because they have no spine, they have no heart, are letting this happen. If you're a liberal who feels that rich people should pay more taxes, tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. Well, guess what? In 2009, in 2008, the tax rate for the top earners was 28.1%. Today, it's 33.6%. So all the bleeding heart liberals who want the rich taxed, they are taxed more than when George Bush was in office. Done. Chalk it up. Everybody wanted banks to be regulated because during the Bush administration, not one bank was regulated. You heard the phrase, too big to fail? Well, not one bank was regulated. Today, 29 banks are regulated. 29 banks are regulated. Bush, not one bank. Obama, 29. If you're somebody who loves the environment and you want cars to have more fuel efficiency, rather they're Range Rovers, rather they're Beetles, rather they're Corvettes, Bush, during his 8 years, and the flagrant disregard for any gasoline conservation, oil conservation, because remember, they're oil men. They want us to spend more money on oil, more money on gas, because they make more money. So, under the Bush administration, cars, trucks, these types of vehicles, their mile per gallon ratios were anywhere from 23 to 27 gallons. So the smaller cars had to get up to 27 miles per gallon. The bigger cars had to get 23, 24. You know, it varied on if it was a truck or if it was a mid-size. They didn't just blindly say this is what it has to be. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, the average comes out to almost 36 miles per gallon. So right now, any car you drive, the miles per gallon standard has been raised. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, that should make you happy. Unless you work and own a oil company, which I don't know if many Americans across the United States do. I mean, it seems to be a small, tight-knit group. Got to imagine millions and millions of Americans don't own oil companies, so they all benefit. Even if you're a Republican who hates the president, you benefit by driving your car and not having to fill it up as much because the president you hate told the car companies and told these people, hey, you got to make them cars be able to run and take less gas and go further distances. We know you can. Don't bullshit us. So here's a law. Here's a rule. Here's some restrictions we're going to put in. Okay? And they went, okay. That should make anybody happy. Talk about war. Remember the war? The war that everybody was affected by in some way, shape, or form. Rather, you had friends that were maimed, killed. You had loved ones that were maimed, killed. Whatever it was, most people in the United States were affected by the war. Why? Because in 2009, when Obama took office, we had 144,000 troops in Iraq. Yeah, we did. 144,000 troops in Iraq that were fighting for 8 years for George Bush and Dick Cheney and Halliburton and the oil companies. Because ultimately, 8 years of fighting resulted in absolutely nothing. What is going on in Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan, all of the Middle East is the same shit that was going on. Oh, it wasn't. I forgot. Because you had dictators like Saddam Hussein that ruled their countries and didn't let terrorists, didn't let people overtake the region. They ruled with an iron fist. Libya, Gaddafi, all these people. So in 2009, President Obama pulled every single troop from Iraq, leaving only 1,600. Leaving only 1,600. And when you hear people say, well, we wouldn't be in this situation right now if we wouldn't have pulled our troops out. Really? So we occupy a country forever? We're perpetually in Iraq? That basically almost bankrupted this country? Again, it would have been a little bit different if our president and our Congress said, hey guys, we're going to be in this country forever, but guess what? It's basically United States #2. They pay us billions and billions of dollars a year for us to be there. All their oil fields, we control half of them. So guess what, guys? Gasoline is $1.50 a gallon. What do you think of that? Wow! Hey guys, guess what? What? Effectively, we're lowering tax rates across the board to rich and poor. You know why? Because we're making billions from Iraq, paying us to be there. But guess what? That didn't happen. We spent billions and billions and billions of dollars. We spent billions and billions and billions of dollars. And when it was time for us to reach an agreement with the George Bush puppet, Maliki, and we said, all right, we're going to leave troops here, but we need to have an agreement. Maliki said, well, no, I'm not going to agree to the things you want. And we went, bro, all we want is to make sure our troops are protected. They can't be prosecuted under any weird Islamic law. They are going to do what they got to do to protect American interests. And that's the end of the story. And Maliki said, nope. And so Obama said, well, fuck you then. Fuck you. I'm pulling nobody's staying. And Maliki went, fine. And for that, we are getting shit left and right from the Republicans, John McCain and Lindsey Graham, for not pushing hard enough. I actually even heard one person say, well, Maliki needed to be, threatened more. He needed to be threatened more. Like what? Well, the Maliki government wanted helicopters. Obama should have said, I'm not going to give you helicopters unless you do what I say. If you're going through all of these things with a country to help protect it, and they don't want the protection, then what makes you think that once we do this deal, they're going to be doing what they got to do to protect themselves, and it doesn't all fall on the United States? You don't. And Obama said, you know what? You're going to get us in here, and when push comes to shove, we're going to have to do all the work. Fuck you. You need to do the work. You are the workhorse. We're going to back you up, but we're not the workhorse. So ultimately, Obama pulled all of our soldiers from Iraq, a place we should never have been in the first place. Afghanistan, we had 35,000 troops there. Today, we have 9,000, and in the next 2 years, there's going to be even less. There you go. How can anybody who does not like war be against this president? How about this bit of information that everybody forgot real quick? There was a guy, okay? There was a guy who plotted to kill Americans. And he actually launched attacks on one of our ships, the USS Cole. Horrible man. He would send us videotapes taunting us, and it all led up to a thing called 9/11. You know, the World Trade Center, the 3 buildings, World Trade Center, airplanes attacking the World Trade Center, thousands of Americans dying, under George Bush's watch. You remember that? There was a guy by the name of Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was the #1 wanted criminal in the United States, in the world. Osama bin Laden would send videos taunting the Americans even after 9/11. Osama bin Laden, who ran unchecked for years and years and years and years and years and years. Bill Clinton couldn't get him. George Bush had 7 years to get him. But Barack Obama got him. Do you all forget that? Do you all forget that the #1 enemy of the United States, the man who was responsible for thousands and thousands and thousands of people's death in a horrific horrific manner, being burned alive in a building, or jumping to your death out of a building, or being in an airplane and having it crash into a building and being burned alive. All of that death was caused by Osama bin Laden. And who got him? Barack Obama. Do you all have that short of a goddamn memory? You have that short of a memory? When they toppled a fucking statue of Saddam Hussein in the streets of Baghdad, George Bush donned a fighter pilot suit, got inside of a war airplane, flew onto an aircraft carrier where there were hundreds and hundreds of people lined up cheering with signs that said "Mission Accomplished," and George Bush walked out in a fighter pilot suit and a helmet saluting everybody, saying, "Job done." That's what George Bush did, and the Republicans organized that, and all the people did was pull a fucking statue down of Saddam Hussein. Could you imagine if the Republicans would have captured and killed Osama bin Laden? They wouldn't have thrown his body in the ocean. They would have stuffed it and carried it around as a fucking souvenir. And anytime, anywhere, anybody questioned any policies of the Republican, they would have pulled Osama bin Laden out of their fucking briefcase and said, "What do you think of that?" They'd have pulled his head out. "See this? We captured him. We killed him. Take a look at that head. That's responsible for 9/11. Did you know someone in 9/11? Oh, you had a family member? Oh, you had a cousin's friend? Well, guess what? This guy killed him! And we killed him. That's what we do. We're Republicans. We save the goddamn world. Oh, unemployment rate is through the roof? Don't fucking matter. See this severed head? That's Osama bin Laden. We killed him. Fuck you." And people go, "Oh shit, okay, you got me. You're right. What do I say to that? What do I say to that? I can't say anything. All my friends got killed in the World Trade Center. Nobody captured them except you, the Republican. Thank you. Thank you. Democrats? Nah. They go, "Osama who?" Well, that was just some goat herder in a cave, right? No, that was the guy who masterminded and planned 9/11. That's the guy that attacked the USS Cole. That's the guy that was terrorizing us for years. That's the guy that George Bush, in a press conference, said, "Wanted dead or alive. We'll get him. We'll smoke him out of his hole." They didn't smoke nothing. The black guy smoked them. After he smoked a cherry blunt, he then smoked bin Laden out of his fucking hole and killed him. But Democrats forget that, Republicans forget that, and the American people forgot that. They're sitting there watching the WWE, looking at a wrestler named Rusev going, "Yep, see, the Russians are coming to get us. Oh, Jesus, we got to get these Republicans in the office right now. They're going to protect us." Protect you? They didn't protect you in 9/11. If that ain't the biggest con job in the world. 9/11 happened on a Republican watch. Almost a year into Bush's presidency, we had 9/11. Do you realize that? George Bush became president, and a month before he stepped into the White House, the Clinton administration handed documents to George Bush and Condoleezza Rice that said Bin Laden is determined to attack the U.S. Talking about hijacking airplanes. Be on the lookout. This shit's coming. Condoleezza Rice looked at it, showed George Bush. George Bush and Condi looked at it, looked at each other and went, okay. And then almost a year later, we were attacked. But somehow, the Republican bullshit spin machine managed to make you believe somehow there was no president during the time of the attacks, and from the point of the attack to the point of George Bush leaving the White House, the mantra was spoken: we haven't had a terrorist attack since 9/11. We haven't had a terrorist attack since 9/11. And nobody went, yeah, but what happened to 9/11? It happened on your watch. The worst terrorist attack since Pearl Harbor happened on your watch. You were notified by memos from the Clinton administration warning you about what bin Laden was up to. 9/11 happened on the Republicans' watch. But the Republicans managed to spin. And the Democrats just sat back and let the spin go. And talk show host after talk show host sat there and let the spin go. To the point where the mantra of no terrorist attack has happened since 9/11. George Bush has kept us safe. The Republicans are keeping you safe. Dick Cheney's keeping us safe. How is that? The first year they didn't keep us safe. We got attacked. Thousands of people got killed. And subsequently, 7 years later, they never captured the guy who was responsible for it. But Barack Obama did. That's what he did. So when everybody sits there and complains about the Democrats and complains about what is going on with the House and the Senate and Putin and ISIS, everybody needs to remember where we were, how far we've come, and the fact that we have 2 more years left. And the economy is doing great. Every facet of our domestic lives are doing great. If you're a woman, before Obama became president, okay, you had to get prescriptions, okay? Basically, for an emergency contraceptive and stuff like that, you had to get prescriptions. Under Obama, you don't need a prescription for emergency contraception. Before Obamacare, a woman had to pay up to $600 for birth control. Under Obamacare, she pays nothing. Obamacare insured over 10 million people. They had nothing. 10.3 million people today have health insurance that couldn't get it before. Now, you could sit there and argue and say, well, some people's premiums went up. Okay, I'm with you. Did it equal more than 10.3 million? Did 10.4 million people's premiums go up? No, it didn't. That's a fact. It didn't. So if the good outweighed the bad, didn't the policy work? Sure, if you're sitting on the side of somebody whose premium went up, you're looking at it going, that's bad. But if you're somebody that didn't have health insurance and now you have health insurance, that's good. And if that person is covered, that means that person's going to be healthy. If that person is healthy, that means they're a productive member of society. They're a productive member of society, that means they're going to have a job. If they have a job, that means they're going to make money. If they make money, they're going to pay taxes. If they pay taxes, that means things in our country are going to get paid for. If they're spending money, that stimulates the economy. Ultimately, all the benefits of somebody having health insurance outweighs somebody who's had their premium raised by $100 every fucking month. Okay? The ramifications of a healthy, productive worker contributing to the United States of America outweighs 50 times every individual who goes, I was paying $650, but my premium went up. Now I'm paying $725. That totally sucks. So, once again, when you look at the big picture, everything that has gone down in the last 6 years has been nothing but productive. If you're a homosexual, or you're somebody that believes in gay rights, maybe you're not gay, but you do believe that everybody should be treated equal. Before Obama became president, 2 states had gay marriage. Today, 35 states. 35 states. So, right out of the gate, every single homosexual in the entire United States should vote Democrat and vote for Obama. And anybody who's friends with gay people, who know gay people, and feel that they are human beings who should have equal rights, should be voting Democrat and be voting for Obama. Plain and simple. If you're somebody who's gay and you don't like the president, then there's something completely wrong with you. 100% wrong with you. 20 times wrong with you. If you're somebody who is in favor of medical marijuana, whether you're somebody who likes to get high, or if you're somebody that generally feels that the medical benefits outweigh all the preconceived notions and stigma of marijuana. Well, before the president took office, 13 states had medical marijuana. Now, 23 states. And that number's growing, and decriminalization is approaching that. Come Obama being done with office, we'll probably see that. Once again, all of these issues are things that if it was a Republican running, they would be dancing for this. You want to know what the Republicans voted against this year? You want to know what the Republicans voted against this year? Equal pay for equal work. So if a woman is sitting in her job and she has the exact same job as her buddy Bill that's sitting next to her, and they both are doing the same thing, and she looks over at Bill's paycheck and he's making $5,000 more, she can't walk down that hall and say, hey, what's up? Why am I not getting the same amount of money as Bill for doing the same job? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a bill that got into the House of Representatives. It was basically voted down. You have Republicans that voted against equal pay for equal women. Just that issue alone, we would have been hearing that if the roles are reversed every single day on every single news cycle, every single minute of every single hour. End of story. Think about when Obama or a Democrat says something about guns or says something about religion. Think about every news program and news cycle that covers the controversy. Think about that. And that's a fucking gun. Or that's prayer in school. Or a Bible statue that people are protesting because it's on courthouse steps. Think about that. Guns and religion are two things that if anybody talks ill against, there is an uproar from the Republicans. There is an uproar in the media because the coverage that the Republicans demand for that becomes so rabid that even liberal shows have to cover the outrage that people are having because a Democrat or the president has spoken out against guns. And that's a gun, and that's religion. But the fact that Republicans voted against women getting equal pay, swept under the rug. And you don't hear one Democrat pounding that. And when they pound it, you actually have people go, you're just playing the woman card. That's what they say. You're just playing the woman card. Like, you know, you don't really give a shit about women that much. You're just saying that to get elected. Like, that's what you say about the gun issue. That's what you say about the religion issue. Dude, come on, you're not that crazy about guns. You just say that because a big part of your constituents are NRA donors and things. And you, yeah. I mean, who says that about women? You're just saying that about women because you want to get elected. You don't give a shit about women. Like, it's just mind-blowing. Yeah, you just saying that because of a gimmick. You don't really like women. Yeah, I know. I got a wife. I got 3 kids. 2 of them are girls. I got a mother. Yeah, I don't like women. I think my wife, my mother, and my 2 daughters, either when they work or when they did work or as they work now, I think they should get paid less than men. Exactly, because they're worthless shit. I mean, who thinks like that? But a Republican does, and a Democrat doesn't capitalize on it. Not even the women Democrats capitalize on it. When you had the woman senator, who is it, Gillibrand, being basically told that she was chubby, and one of the senators told her not to lose too much weight because he liked them chubby. It's like she didn't even talk about that until years and years later, and when the guy had already died. Why didn't this happen when the senator said that to her right out of the gate? I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing how the Democrats act. And the spineless, gutless, it's amazing. Pockets of gold they have for this election cycle. And nobody's using it. Nobody is using it. Nobody's using it. They talk about Obama taking vacations. He's taking a vacation. Do you realize that George Bush took 490 vacation days? George Bush took 490 vacation days. You know how many vacation days Ronald Reagan took? 349. You know how many vacation days Bill Clinton took? 174. You know how many vacation days Obama's taken? 138. Nobody says that. Again, how does a Democrat have such a weak, gutless aura to them that they can't even defend their own policies over the past 6 years and where this country is, and they can't even defend the president on things like vacation time when he's out golfing? Once in a while, you'll hear a liberal talk show host go, George Bush took more time. But you never hear anybody else. And when they say that, it goes away. Why is it not hammered home? Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, every day they will bring up the same topic. So Republicans believe in the lies that they're being told. So when you talk to a Republican, or even a borderline Republican, they say stuff, and you go, that's wrong. No, it's not. Okay. All right. How is it that Democrats have no spine? Literally no spine, no heart, no anything. They're weak. It's disgusting. And if we lose control of the Senate, it's because of the Democrats having no spine. It ain't this president. You can't ask for a better 6 years. You can't ask for a better 6 years. Can't. You can't ask for a better 6 years. George Bush won 2 elections on horrific news. Horrific. I mean, John Kerry couldn't even beat George Bush. And at that point, America was hep on George Bush's bullshit. And John Kerry was such a weak individual that he couldn't even fight back when Republicans said he was a pussy in Vietnam. He couldn't even fight back against people that served with him running ads saying that he was a pussy on the boat that they served on. That's how fucking weak Democrats are. That John Kerry couldn't even beat George Bush. And he let everybody paint him as a weak, gutless, spineless Vietnam pussy. That's what they did. That's what they did, ladies and gentlemen. It's embarrassing. The Democrats lose this. If they lose this election, they got nobody to blame except their gutless selves. And if they can't take the White House in 2016 with Hillary Clinton and a woman running for president for the first time, off of all of this great economic news, I don't know what to say. It leaves me speechless. Leaves me speechless. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my Democrat, George Bush, Barack Obama speech to you. And I think you needed it. Today was a day you needed it. It really was. It was a day that you really needed it. So